Hello everybody, I hope you are well. I apologise for the issues at the start of that stream, and hopefully we are once again live over on all of the channels. It was a slight issue that I do apologise for, so apologies about that. So we are here though for the 9th season of competition in the SRL TCR League for round number 5 at the Red Bull Ring. I hope you are excited for this one because I am 3 different classes heading out onto the track for the competition tonight. 2 races, with the second race being a 15-lapped reverse race. So I'm excited for this one, and I hope you are too. Before we get into it too much, we are, like I said, at the 5th round of competition for this one. So let's have a jump across and have a look at what the calendar actually looked like up until this point, and to see what we have left for the remainder of the season as well. Because we are here at the Red Bull Ring. We started back at Road Atlanta before going across to Brands Hatch, Interlagos and Portimao. We are out next week at Sebring, followed by the circuit Zandvoort. Winton, a tricky circuit, especially in these type of cars. It's going to be a great race. A Hockenheim Ring for the 9th round, and Nürburgring will finish off a brilliant circuit to end it all at the end of this season. With that being said, then, it is obviously 4 rounds completed and in the book, so I think it's only right that we have a little look at each of the standings as we go into this 5th round of competition. And we are going to start with, at the bottom, but by no means the least, we've got the amateur category drivers. So the M class standings, top 10 on your screens right now. And it is Lucas Henschel who's at the top of that, 249 points. Looking quite clear at the moment, 32 points clear ahead of second place at this stage. Both of those leading drivers racing the Honda. It's the Audi in 3rd place, Jeff Saunders. He's dropped down to 3rd position after last week's event. 213 points. It is extremely tight at the top there. 217 points, 213 points as well, extremely close, but they're not too far off of the lead. It runs back to Nick Scotney in 4th there, 147 points, down to Scott Malcolm. The Honda being a very popular choice of car, that is for sure as I look down the field here. Top 10 drivers on your board that you can have a look at. The amateur standings then. Let's have a look at the Pro-Am standings. The Pro-Am standings have got Carl Hardy at the top at the moment. He's got 364 points to his name. Swapping last week's from last week's result with Marjan Kodeman. 358 points to Marjan there. So 6 points between them. Extremely tight at the front. And like I said, they swapped after the 4th round of competition last week. So who knows, it could go back the other way at the end of this one. Craig Walters sits in 3rd place right now. He's 30 points off of that lead fight, but no means out of it, as we're only going to be halfway through the season at the end of tonight. Daniel Lewis is in 4th position in that standings, only 8 points behind Craig Walters. You can just see how close a number of our drivers are. Lots of drivers switching positions after the last round of competition. And finally, our pro standings. Well, that's got Dan Mould out on top. He's got 469 points, and he is 53 points clear of Adam Delmont. Delmont and Walker both getting up into 2nd and 3rd position, moving up some positions after last week's event. And they'll be wanting to try and close some time down on the championship leader of Dan Mould. But right now, not quite able to touch him. And finally, we've got the team standings. The team standings are looking good for BIS Circuits. They are at the top right now. Drivers being Dan Mould and Craig Walters, who are both doing great in their respective classes. We've got BSTV result in 2nd place there with 760 points. And Sim Racing Norway is sitting in 3rd with 606 points. Very close between those top 2 teams right now. BIS Circuits and BSTV. Carl Hardy and Tony Walker will be wanting to get in some good results to get their team back to the top of the Teams Championship as we end the first half of the season. What a circuit to be heading out to then for this one. We are here around the Red Bull Ring, and it is a fantastic one to get our drivers out and into the session. Talking about out and into the session, qualifying underway here. So let's get ourselves started and let's get ourselves looking at a few of the drivers out there right now and see how we are getting on. So let's go have a look. We've got Ronald de Jong out there at the moment. He is coming around the final couple of corners to get his lap started. Only 10 corners, of course, around this circuit. It is mostly straight. Slipstream going to mean a lot. Getting a toe is going to mean a lot for your time. And right now you can see Ronald de Jong is leading this train of drivers, is not one of the drivers who is going to be receiving a toe. However, he comes through turn number 1, pushes it over that curb, and you don't want to get off tracks here, especially in your qualifying laps. De Jong running in the blue class, which is your Pro-Am standings. Your red class is your amateurs and your green class is your pros, just so you know. When they come up on the left-hand side, you also see the names to each of those classes. But a nice short 10-minute qualifying session here. Open qualifying, of course, the drivers having to put in their laps with other drivers on the board. It does help out right now those drivers who are able to find themselves into a nice toe. But it doesn't help out drivers who are all on their own, such as Ronald de Jong here. Kicking up a little bit of gravel there. That is not going to be good for his lap time. He continues around, and we go and have a little look at Craig Walters. You can just see the massive train of drivers that are all coming through right now around this lap, and we're going to see if we can see. Look at that. Look at that on the track map. How many cars we've got out there running around right now. It's absolutely crazy. Okay, we should be getting first lap times on the board momentarily, and we can start to see where drivers are going to stack themselves up. Of course, it is going to be important for the pro drivers to find their way out of the front, of course, and then we should see the rest of the field following behind. Right, up towards the final turn, and Craig Walters backs out of his lap, doesn't want to complete it. Feeling like he's being hindered in the pack there. Carl Hardy is the first across the line and will be the first to put in a lap time as we go towards turn number 1. As you can see on our left-hand side, we start to populate our timing order as drivers come across the line. Arthur Thirdle being the fastest overall so far, as well as the fastest in that pro class. Daniel Downing just goes into third in the pros as we see more drivers getting times in right now. They'll be looking at getting the best time that they possibly can for the grid on race number 1. Getting themselves as far forwards as possible is going to be important for each of their championships. This is Laconan, as he's at the back of a train of cars. We're going to ride on board with Laconan here in the Hydro Race Racing Forces machine up towards what is technically turn number 3. This right-hander is technically turn number 3 because that kink to the left is technically turn number 2. Not that anyone in the world considers that to actually be a turn. Right, we head up now towards turn number 4, and you can see the toe that Laconan's got here, getting a nice amount of slipstream behind. That's someone off, though, on the exit of turn number 4. Not going to hinder Laconan too much. Did look like Laconan went for a slightly tighter line, however. Currently sitting third in class right now is Laconan. That is 2.5 tenths off of Carl Hardy. Will be wanting to move up and through past Dec Crowther and Carl Hardy to get towards the front of the field. 4.5 minutes left. Ronald de Jong puts in a lap time good enough for 7th place in class, and Ryan Stringer finds a good time there, a 1:40.3 to place himself on the front of the Pro-Am class through the final 2 corners. Again, wanting to stay within track limits through here and not getting your lap time invalidated. Laconan coming up towards the timing line. Will it be an improvement on that lap? It is not. It looks like actually that lap time was invalid from going off the circuit there. Logan McKinsey finds time to go third in class right now. Only about a tenth of a second off of Kim Brookland, who sits in second at the moment. and only just over 2.5 tenths off of Arthur Thurtle. Thurtle right now still cementing himself at the top and front of this field. As we've got most of the field now have put in lap times, but we are still waiting for the man at the top of the pro standings, the man at the top of the overall standings as well. He is coming around without a lap time to his name right now, the number 62 machine. So let's see what he is able to do as we head up. It looks like potentially we don't... I thought we had trading paints open, and I think that maybe we're having an issue with trading paints. We will get that refreshed after this qualifying session. As usual, there's technical issues whenever you try anything new, and this is a whole new overlay system that I'm trying tonight. It's breaking absolutely everything, apparently. Number 62 machine comes through the final corner. Can the championship leader take pole position in class as he comes up towards the timing line in the Biscuits team? It looks like he gets a lap time in. It's not good enough for pole position. It's good enough for third position for Dan Mould right now. Thurtle looking comfortable at the top of this order right now as Stephen Fry puts in a lap time in that amateur field, which is slowly getting its lap times on the board. Of course, it's very easy to invalidate your lap time around here as well. So running off the circuit, getting a little bit wide is going to hurt you. That is for sure. As we continue around right now, watching Dan Mould, seeing if he can improve on this lap time. At the moment, it looks like he is up a little bit at 140.322, being his best lap so far. He is right behind a collection of cars, a couple of cars in front of him, which are going to be pulling him forward. But will it be pulling him enough towards the front to take pole position, or is it going to hinder him? This is the thing. You've got to find the slipstream at just the right right point. You want to be close enough to get a strong toe, but you don't want to be too close that you end up getting hindered through the corners. However, that is the Hyundai moving out of the way, letting Dan Mould through. Mould comes through the final two corners now. It's pushing very wide. Is that going to invalidate the lap time, or are we going to keep a valid lap time? Dorkland goes to the front of the field with his latest lap at 39.939. And Dan Mould goes across the line. It is an improvement for Mould, a 40.026. It would have placed him in pole position if Kim Borkland hadn't found that time in the previous run. Right now, though, we've got a couple of the AM drivers still out there. So some of my liveries I believe are working, or is this just the default livery now? I'm not too sure. I think that trading paints is broken. Scott Malcolm, though, is currently in fourth in class, 0.7 of a second off of Stephen Fry, who has gone to the front of that field of drivers. In fact, Stephen Fry has gone faster than a number of Pro-Am drivers as well, as being only 0.03 of a second off of a pro driver, Daniel Downing, who is in 8th place in class right now, not finding a lot of time. A lot of cars just stopping, pulling over at the end of this one, as we're trying to see anyone else who's still pushing their laps right now. Qualifying comes to a checkered, comes to an end there at the end of this 10-minute qualifying, our 10-minute qualifying session. So as we prepare ourselves then for our first race of the day, let's get ourselves up for the grid on this one. Right, let's talk us through the grid. We've got Borkland out front ahead of Dan Mould. Then we've got Thurtle in third ahead of Ryan Stringer. Delmont takes 5th. Mackenzie, it takes 6th position. 7th position is Daniel Lewis ahead of Cooper Akers. Then we have Fraser Garrity ahead of Deck Crowther. Samuel Sproul will take 11th ahead of Carl Hardy. We'll go on to the next one. Then we've got Kodeman ahead of Dejoux, ahead of Aylett and Gibbons. Brown ahead of De Jong. Then we've got Laconen ahead of Titchela, ahead of Walters, Downing, Fry and Hards. Then we've got Paul Hurley, Roger Morton, Reese Watt, Jose Skolge, Mail and Littler all the way down to 30th. And at the back of the field, we've got Scott Malcolm, Fiona Siddons, Luke Jones and Thomas Coombe. And that was without lap times for a couple of them at the very back of the field. However, this first race going to be 20 minutes of racing action. We can expect about 12 laps of competition around this circuit for race number 1. So let's get ourselves prepared. I know you're ready because I am certainly ready as the drivers get themselves down onto the field for the first race of the day. The top 15 from this race will be reversed for race number 2 as well. So drivers will be wanting to get the best they can in this race, but also having a little look at what they can do for race number 2. Race number 1, preparing ourselves here. 20 minutes on the clock as our drivers get ready to accelerate towards turn number 1. We're green. We are away here at the Red Bull Ring for round number 5. Race number 1 is go. It is side by side at the front of the field as they go 2 by 2 in towards turn number 1. And they come out side by side as well. Auckland and Mould running beside each other. They continue to run beside each other as we head up towards turn number 3, and that's an accident in the background. A car around and out. That looks like Scott Malcolm has fallen down the order. It's still side by side though for the race lead at the moment. Auckland has got the outside. Mould has got the inside. Mould pulls ahead ever so slightly, and it looks like he's getting pushed now by Arthur Thurtle. Arthur Thurtle pushing him up towards the braking point for turn number 4. They run side by side in towards the braking point now. And they are side by side. They continue running through as they settle themselves down. And that is Mould ahead of Auckland as that is broken and everything's broken, and I apologise. Right, there we go. As we get settled down here, hopefully that will fix our trading paint issue, because I've just restarted trading paints for this race, so I apologise for that. Right, there's a little bit of gravel being kicked up there at the front, and it looks like Ryan Stringer is still leading the way in the Pro-Am class. That's Thurtle looking to make a move through Auckland. Once again to the inside of Dan Mould, and they settle themselves down into single file is what I meant to say, as they come up towards the timing line. At the back though, there are still changes for position as well. As we come out of the final turn, it's side by side here towards the back of the field. Luke Jones leading Roger Morton. Morton gets past though, and that is the 17th and 18th in class. That's how much there's contact. The 92 goes through, and down the order goes Luke Jones. He settles himself around though, back up towards the front, and it's Dan Mould leading the way, still ahead of Auckland, not able to do anything through there. Ryan Stringer looking good, holding on to his lead in the Pro-Am category right now. There's a battle going on just behind though, 10th and 11th in the Pro-Am class. Kev Aylett leads Ronald de Jong. It's about half a tenth of a second between them as they're side by side now towards the braking zones. As we settle down with the liveries as well, the drivers try to find position, and Kev Aylett stays in 10th position there, just behind de Jong and Brown. Side by side now, this is de Jong up the inside of Brown. Brown stuck on the outside. They are in 2 separate classes, so they've got to be careful here. But de Jong is wanting to battle the Pro-Ams in front of him, whereas John Brown trying to get up towards the pros. This is Derek Crowther at the moment. He sits in 5th position in the Pro-Am class as we head up towards the final 2 turns. Crowther looking to try and move up into 4th position just ahead of him if he's able to. Stringer has only got Delmont between himself and the rest of the Pro-Am field at the moment, and he's going to be wanting to try and keep it that way. Auckland, being the fastest man out there at the moment, could have an overtake opportunity up towards turn number 3 here. It's a bit of slipstream as we go through. The 884 following the 62, and that's Auckland to the outside once more. Mould takes that inside.
It's how he was able to hold the lead on the opening lap of the race, but trying to go for more speed on the exit. There's a nudge on the exit there. Mould trying to shut the door on Borkland. Borkland saying, no thank you, I am here. But once again, Thurtle following Mould on that right-hand side of the circuit. Look at the squeeze there from Borkland. He has got a nose ahead in towards turn number 4, and that's McKinsey trying to get involved in the battle behind now. Borkland has kept it there on the outside. No, he tucks it down, and Mould goes defensive, and through turn number 6 they go on the outside. There's another little touch, but Thurtle moves through into second. Can he hold it side by side with Borkland here? They remain next to each other, lights flashing from Dan Mould out front, and here comes McKinsey. As Borkland's fallen to third, will he fall to fourth? It was an overtaking opportunity for the lead at the start of the lap. He could be off of the podium by the end of the lap. Through the final turn they go out front. They're still side by side here. At the moment it's almost 3 wide up towards turn number 1, but they do settle themselves down just about. Adam Delmont tucks in just before turn number 1. Back in the Pro-Am class, Fraser Geraghty here chasing down Daniel Lewis. Geraghty in the 117 machine, that blue and grey machine in the centre of your screen. He's trying to get up to third place right now, and he has got Crowther just behind as well. It looks like we may have had a couple of issues from some drivers. What looks like he might be out of this race, but the first race of the day, as most of the gaps now have started to settle themselves down. But it is side by side from teammates there, as Paul Hurley in the no, that's Larkanoon in the 52 machine on the outside, stuck on the outside right now, and has got Sydney Hards looking to the inside. This is 14th in the Pro-Am class as they head up towards the braking dome, but back towards the lead, and Dan Mould has fallen down and hits Kim Borkland. Borkland sideways and down. What has happened to Dan Mould in order to cause him to fall down the order? I would like to know. Let's see if we can figure out what has happened here as that's settling it down once again. Oh, it looks like it's happened even further back from there. Dan Mould was side by side for the race lead with Arthur Thurtle. Thurtle getting that inside line. I think there may have just been a nudge. There was and does. Yeah, that is Borkland trying to get involved, and there's contact, and it's sideways, and it all turns in to a bit more contact as we go through the next corner. The drivers running side by side. Thurtle running fastest overall at the moment, but there's the contact. Just a tiny little touch. It was almost nothing, but it was just enough to cause Borkland to go around, unfortunately for him. Right, we are watching though back up towards the front. This is side by side. McKinsey on the outside of Dan Mould. Dan Mould holds the inside line. McKinsey is going to have to jot down third. Adam Delmont in fourth right now is looking and thinking this could be something. Cooper Akers could catch up here towards Ryan Stringer and make it something in their battle for the lead of the Pro-Am class. Here goes McKinsey up the inside of Mould. It looks like he's going to carry too much speed though. Mould brakes early, a little bit of sliding on the exit, trying to get the grip. It's side by side now between Logan McKinsey and Dan Mould. McKinsey's got the inside line, and that is Adam Delmont trying to get out the inside too. And that's going to be sideways for Delmont. He holds it, and he has still got it a little bit up the inside of Mould. Mould holds that position, and now Ryan Stringer trying to get past Adam Delmont. Delmont holds it though, and there's more contact between the leader of the Pro-Am class and Adam Delmont, and that is going to invite Cooper Akers to look up the inside of Ryan Stringer for the lead of the Pro-Am class up towards and through the final turn there. Penultimate turn into the final turn, and that is going to be Cooper Akers to the lead of the Pro-Am field right now. Kev Aylett just behind, well I say just behind, he's down in 11th right now, side by side with Ronald de Jong as Dan Mould once again fights for a podium spot. We'll just see if Aylett's able to hold that position on de Jong. He is. Back up front though, you can see the gap that Dirtle has pulled. It's almost 2.5 seconds right now as we head up towards the breaking point for turn number 3. Dan Mould gets to the inside of Logan McKenzie, and he gets that position, and Mould ahead, but McKenzie swaps back over to go now towards the inside himself, and we've seen that move to the inside not work the way that anyone was expecting it, with the switchback trying to happen, not quite happening, not doing it this time though. Not a late move by McKenzie. There is a little bit of a touch with the Mould though. Adam Delmont once again trying to follow McKenzie through, as there is a fight for second in class in the Pro-Am field as well. That's Stringer and Lewis, but right now it's Mould and McKenzie side by side. Mould once again pulls ahead, but it is going to go into McKenzie's favour on the right-hand corner. And Mould goes extremely wide there. Here comes Delmont up the inside. It's side by side behind as well, though. It's 3 wide behind. Are they going to settle themselves down, as Mould has got Delmont up his inside? It looks like Daniel Lewis backs out of that one. It's side by side once more through the final turn between Delmont and Mould as they come up towards the timing line here. And Mould's got the outside line. Delmont's got the inside line. When we come up towards turn number 1, they've all settled themselves down at the moment, and it was all good to go, but there is a little bit of nudging. RG and Bargy. Stephen Fry looking very comfortable out at the front of the of the Am field, as Akers gets past Delmont here. Akers getting rolled. He's leading the Pro-Am field. He doesn't need to be up here. However, being up here is putting cars between himself and the second place in class, Ryan Stringer. Ryan Stringer in that number 44 machine just behind. Adam Delmont was on the outside line and will take that. This is JB Dejoux though. He's in 7th position right now. He was side by side with Daniel Lewis for a moment. It won't stay that way. We've got side by side between Quota and Geraghty though. That's 3rd and 4th place fighting, and here comes Carl Hardy from the behind the two of them to get up the inside of Geraghty here. They run side by side up towards turn number 6, this left-hander, and it is going to be Geraghty on the inside line. Hardy stuck on the outside, but it is going to swap back, of course, when we go through the next left-right corner and up towards the final 2 corners as well. Trying to keep it on the circuit, not wanting to get the gravel, not wanting to collect spun, and that's exactly what happens. And into the wall goes Carl Hardy. Contact with the barrier. Fraser Geraghty now side by side with Samuel Sproul. Sproul not in the same class, wanting to get past the Pro-Am driver, and he does so. Sproul up to 6th position there, as Dan Mould has fallen behind Cooper Akers. Is going to be wanting to get back through and up into a fight if possible. JB Dejoux here behind Daniel Lewis. Lewis slightly wide to turn number 1. Could impact him here as we head up towards the turn number 3, the right-handed turn here. About 7.5 minutes left on the clock. It's going to be about 5 more laps, including this one. They're side by side up ahead as well, as Stringer gets past Mould as well. Stringer wanting to fight with Cooper Akers in the Pro-Am category, and he's going to do that by getting past Mould. And here comes Borkman. Mould and Borkman had contact earlier on in the race. Here comes Borkman up the inside of Mould. Is it going to be contact free this time? It certainly is. And Mould falls down to 7th. Mould just falling down the order at the moment. He's got Derek Crowther now behind him. Crowther is 3rd in the Pro-Am field. Ryan Stringer looking to regain the lead past Cooper Akers at the front of the Pro-Am field if he's able to. What was a comfortable lead earlier in the race for Stephen Fry, the leader of the amateur class, is not having as good a time today. He is only, right now, because he has fallen down to about half a second to Thomas Coombe, who himself is only half a second to Fiona Siddons here. So the 3 drivers, actually you can even count Andy Littler in that as well. 4 drivers, all in the amateur class, all within just a couple of seconds of each other, and they're all wanting to take the win here with 6.5 minutes left on the clock. And right now, it looks like there very possibly could be a fight going into the end of this race. This is Mould and Borkland side by side once more. Mould to the inside of Borkland this time as we get onto the braking zone. And somehow Borkland has actually got speed on the exit on the outside and has got past Ryan Stringer. So what was a defensive move on Dan Mould turned into an overtake past Ryan Stringer, sitting second in the Pro-Am field. Again, look at all the different lines the drivers are doing, and once again Borkland going to the outside to try and get past a Pro-Am driver, but that's Stringer getting back involved. He wants to be back in this because he really wants to fight with Cooper Akers for the lead of the Pro-Am field, and at the moment having to fight the pro drivers means that Cooper Akers is just sitting in a comfortable spot right now. Talk about comfortable spot. Arthur Thurtle sitting 3 seconds clear of McKinsey right now. That was Stringer onto the gravel. Could invite Dan Mould in with a chance of an overtake here into turn number 9. It can't do it on that line, however. We'll just have to follow behind for the time being. As we have a look as well in this sort of train of drivers. It is a huge train of drivers following behind. This is Ronald de Jong. He sits in 7th in the Pro-Am field ahead of Mahan Kodeman, behind JB Deju here with, well, in this, as you can see, this massive collection of drivers. And once again, Dan Mould gets past Ryan Stringer, but once again, Stringer's got a good amount of speed here in that Audi and is looking to regain that overall position. This is not a fight in class. These are different classes, remember. Onto the brakes goes Dan Mould, and he takes that position. Borkland still trying to move past Akers up ahead at the moment, or is he? He's pushing along. Will we see Borkland go for the overtake on Akers? He once again moves to the outside. Is that another overtake attempt from Stringer on Mould as well? Sits behind now for now, and they all get back in single file. Not on the exit though. Stringer is like, I want this position. It's 6th overall, that's what he's hunting for, but it's nothing for class position at the moment. 44 chasing down the 62 machine. There's a little bit of a push there. No way you can get up the inside when you're not already alongside going into that one, as they settle themselves down. This is a return to the amateur class at the back. This is a potential for a fight here, as that's the 222 of Luke Jones. He is not part of the amateur division, he's part of the Pro-Am division. However, the side-by-side has once again slowed up. Stephen Fry here could allow Thomas Kuhn to get into a fight for the lead as we come through the final 2 turns, and going on to the 11th of what should be 12 laps of competition here. As we head up towards the timing line, it looks like it remains Stephen Fry just ahead of Thomas Kuhn, 0.3 of a second between them as they cross the line up towards turn number 1. That there is the 35 of Stephen Fry in the rocket machine, chasing down the 2 Pro-Ams ahead of him as Akers and Borkland now side by side. So Borkland is really trying to put a car between himself and Dan Mould once more. Mould coming in behind as well. Is this going to remain too wide? It certainly is, not going too wide. Akers up the inside, Borkland on the outside. That was a little bit of a nudge, but here comes Dan Mould to take advantage of Akers here. This is a fight for 4th in the pro class as they head up now towards turn number 6. They are side by side. Mould is on the outside of Borkland. Borkland gives him, I would say, a car's width before the gravel, running over the gravel a little bit there from Borkland. Has to tuck in behind Akers once more. Again, going for a slightly alternate line, and that is going to invite Ryan Stringer back towards the inside here. As he does so, Stringer up the inside of Mould. It's going to be side by side between the Pro car and the Pro-Am car. They settle themselves back into single file running. Stephen Fry has made his way past Luke Jones which puts himself in a protection there to the car ahead. Borkland up the inside of Akers this time as we go on to the white flag lap. Borkland does hold that for now, but here comes Mould on the outside of Akers as well. And could this turn into a potential overtaking opportunity on Borkland for 4th place as we head up towards turn number 3 and our braking zone here in race number 1. And Borkland's just got that inside so nicely on the exit as well. Got the power down, but Mould holding it there. Has got speed though compared to Borkland. He is running faster as John Brown sees himself with a penalty towards the end of the race. Mould on the outside of Borkland in their fight for 4th here. Side by side. Borkland holds ahead of Mould once more as we go towards the final few corners. It is going to be this man here though, Arthur Thurtle, who is going to come around the end of the lap to take his win here at Red Bull Ring for race number 1 of 2 at round number 5. Back towards his fight though. Logan McKenzie is going to take 2nd in class ahead of Adam Delmont, who is going to take 4th in class. Who can get the end of this lap done well? As a fight for the lead of the Pro-Ams behind. Cooper Akers leads Ryan Stringer. More penalties being dished out on the last lap of the race. Across the line they go, and it is going to be Cooper Akers who wins the Pro-Am class. And Stephen Fry, major damage on the front end of his 35 machine. Potentially why he lost the big lead that he had early stages. But Stephen Fry will cross the line to win in the amateur class. The rest of the amateur class all coming in very close behind there. Torben Mail will come across the line. He is sitting quite comfortably in the championship, not so comfortably in this race. Will cross the line in 5th place. So that was race number 1 here around the Red Bull Ring, and we are going to have a look at the results from that one. Arthur Thurtle took the win in that one, 3 seconds clear of Logan McKenzie. Adam Delmont took home 3rd ahead of Kim Borkland, and Dan Mould in 5th position. Cooper Akers winning his division, of course, in 6th place ahead of Ryan Stringer. Fraser Garrity took home 8th ahead of Samuel Sproul and Daniel Lewis. That was your overall field. Let's have a look at how the pros lined up after that one. Arthur Thurtle took home the win ahead of Logan McKenzie, Adam Delmont in 3rd ahead of Kim Borkland. Dan Mould took home 5th place there ahead of Samuel Sproul. John Brown took home 7th, and Daniel Downing at the back of that field. The Pro-Am field after that one, Cooper Akers won the Pro-Am ahead of Ryan Stringer. It was Fraser Garrity who took home 3rd ahead of Daniel Lewis. 5th was Deck Crowther, JB DeJoe in 6th, Ronald de Jong in 7th position, followed by Kev Aylett, Demis Tichler and Mahan Kodeman. Behind them was then Craig Walters, Jura Laconen, Sydney Hards, Jose Skolge, Paul Hurley, Roger Morton and Luke Jones, the last driver in the Pro-Am field to take home the lead lap. Carl Hardy a lap down, Stuart Gibbons 3 laps down, and Reece Watts out of the race. The amateur field at the end of that one, Stephen Fry won that by a 2nd ahead of Thomas Kuhn. Fiona Siddons took home 3rd, just ahead of teammate Andy Littler in 4th position. Torbjörn Mail took home 5th, and Scott Malcolm was at the back of that field. Right, that is the end of the races, and of race number 1, and we have got race number 2 coming your way. It's going to be a top 15 in reverse here, and I just want to see if we're able to pull anyone from that one. Let's have a look quickly once more at our race results as I just jump here for this one. So let's have a look to see who we can pull across and who we want to pull across following that race. Of course, a great race all around, but let's see if we can pull in. In fact, we are going to pull in Cooper Akers, because Cooper Akers was doing quite well, actually. He was running in 2nd, and then it was towards
the mid stage of the race that Akers was able to move towards to the front of the Pro-Am field, and a good result in that one, a win from race number 1.
Oh man, I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you there.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, a win in race number 1. Then you came through. It looked like it was going to be a bit of a fight there with Ryan Stringer, and you managed to move past and hold out front. Was it a bit tense with all the pro drivers around you?
Yeah, it was a bit tense, but good fair driving all around. Just picking up the chaos ahead of me led to this, but let's see what we can get race 2.
I say a win in race number 1, and yeah, race number 2, top 15 reverse. So you'll be starting a little bit further down the order. Do you think you can make your way back through again?
We'll see. Red Bull Ring is it's can't be easy to pass, but it's easy to string out, and we'll see what happens.
Well, good luck in the next race, Cooper, for that one, and hopefully you can see a repeat of a win.
Thank you.
And that was Cooper Akers there, who is, as I say, running around, run that race from the Pro-Am field, and we will see if we can grab another driver from that one as I fiddle with my Discord whilst we play this. Let's see who else is running around there and actually fighting in that fight for the win with Cooper Akers in that Pro-Am class was Ryan Stringer, leading the first half of the race. Ryan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Perfect. And Ryan, yeah, you were leading the first half. It looks like you got caught up with the pro drivers around you, and it invited Akers in for a fight, and he just managed to get the best of you.
Yeah, no, I had Delmont and Mould make a little slide in front of me through T, I think 4 or 5, and then it just gave Cooper the move down the inside, which was a bit of a shame, and then just hard defence for the rest of the race. Couldn't get past him, but I had a really good run on the last lap, and shame I didn't get him.
Okay, it was extremely close in that last lap. The pro drivers getting in the mix of that fight, was that making it more fun, or was that making it a bit more frustrating in your fight?
I mean, it's good to actually have a battle with the pros. I mean, I haven't really had a good battle with them throughout this season so far, but hopefully race 2 will be even better.
Right, good luck for race number 2, and hopefully you can pull your way up towards the front again.
Thank you.
So we just caught with both of the Pro-Am drivers who took first and second in that race there. We are going to prepare ourselves for the grid of race number 2 in just a moment's time. Top 15 from that first race are going to be reversed, which means that our winners are going to have to do a little bit more to if they want to find themselves at your front. As we heard there from Akers as well, it is easy to overtake, but it can be strung out a little bit. It could take a while to confirm a place, and I think that's what we saw in that race. Is actually making an overtake was quite easy. Holding that place, keeping it ahead, that's where the challenge lies because of all the slipstreaming around, because of everything that's going on. But we are now going to be gridding up for the second race of the day for this one. It's a slightly longer race, 25 minutes, which means that we should see about 15 laps of racing action. And with that, let us have a look at our grid for race number 2, with this one being the top 15 from race number 1 reversed. It is going to be Demis Tichler of the Pro-Am class who will take the starting grid pole here for race number 2. Kev Aylett will start in second place ahead of Ronald de Jong. JB Dejoux will start from 4th ahead of Dec Crowther and Daniel Lewis. We then see Samuel Sproul in 7th ahead of Fraser Garrity and Ryan Stringer in 9th position at Cooper Akers. Samuel Sproul, of course, being that leading pro driver now. Dan Mould will be the second pro driver. He'll start in 11th ahead of Kim Borkland, who will start in P number 12. 13th place will be for Adam Delmont ahead of Logan McKinsey. Arthur Thurtle in 15th. Are we green? It looks like we're green. I was told we were going to have
the full time. But we're green. We're going to have to stop there. I was told we were going to have 2 minutes on the grid there, but we are green. And it's Kev Aylett on the outside. Demonstration, a huge accident behind there. A huge accident with a number of cars getting caught up in that one. It's always a danger with a reverse grid as drivers try to find their way through. As we get up towards the braking point, Titchler is the one leading ahead of Kev Aylett here. Ronald de Jong is in third position right now, but positions changing up and down the field. It is 3 abreast for some cars going in through turn number 3 as we head up now towards turn number 4 as the drivers try to settle themselves down. It looks like Adam Delmont, Samuel Sproul were a couple of drivers involved in that, but Sproul being the leading pro driver. This is Borkland on the outside here of Thurtle. So, on the outside of Codeman. Thurtle himself is on the outside of Walters. All the drivers, especially the pros, trying to find their way up the field right now in this 25-minute race, extra 5 minutes to get the reverse grid sorted themselves back into positions they want to be. But Dan Mould is the leading pro driver right now. He is 7th overall as he comes through ahead of Daniel Lewis and Cooper Akers. Akers on the outside of McKinsey here. No, Akers ahead of McKinsey, sorry. That was, he was on the inside. It turned through that to that overtake, and McKinsey now down into 10th position. Craig Walters will be looking to try and get some positions as well, but McKinsey will not be happy he's lost that position to Akers. You see flashing his lights there. He's got Arthur Thurtle now going up the inside, and this is for class position between Thurtle and McKinsey. Thurtle not able to make that move just yet. You can see that he has made his way into the top 3 at the early point in this race due to the accidents for Samuel Sproul and Adam Delmont. Delmont down and out of this race early doors right now, which is not good for him. Sidney Hards is looking to go and fight with Jose Skulls here up towards the braking point. It's still side by side, up and down, and that is 2 cars around, including Borkland. Borkland is around there with Downing, it looked like. Let's see if we can quickly catch what happened there up towards braking point. And Downing, just a huge issue for Downing, completely missed his braking point. Caught Borkland in there, and unfortunately Borkland just an absolute innocent victim in all of that one. A fight potentially for the lead. Kev Aylett has got past. Demis Titchler here has taken that lead, and Titchler is going to want to try and make the move back through if he's able to. Almost touching bumpers there in the fight between the 2 of them. Dan Mould and Brian Stringer once again side by side, but now it's Titchler and de Jong side by side. 2 teammates fighting it out for 2nd place. They've decided to settle it down single file, not wanting to go too wide in a fight between teammates, but it is side by side in the final turn. Titchler, how did he find that speed through the exit of turn number 9? It has put him in a perfect stead here, but it's not given him the speed because the exit was given de Jong, the outside line, and the overtake. Is that a potential overtake? Well, is that a potential move in the future, or is it potentially a slowdown? Because Titchler is still backing off along the straight here. I think that was potentially a slowdown from Titchler as he falls to 5th in class, but he tries to fight with Geraghty once more up the inside. McKinsey now gets past Daniel Lewis, remains 2nd in class at the moment, but we are going to fight for the lead of this race. De Jong now goes to the outside of Kev Aylett, and he stays behind at the moment. Again, a push of the bumper in there as this is side by side with Titchler and Geraghty. Titchler trying to find that speed once more after the slowdown. It looks like de Jong was just pushing Aylett around there, not really looking to try and find a way through. That's Mould looking to the inside of Geraghty. No, Mould looking to the inside, yes, of Geraghty, as Titchler has made that move past Geraghty now. As I will slowly learn their liveries as the race goes on, I'm sure, but we head now towards the final turns, and at the moment Arthur Thurtle is looking to try and take 2nd place off of Logan McKinsey, but it is Geraghty ahead of Stringer right now. Stringer just couldn't take that win in race number 1 with a race long fight with Cooper Akers. Akers has not been able to pull up with Ryan Stringer right now, so Stringer has an opportunity to try and get past through all of this field, but it will be the whole field because the Pro-Ams go all the way to the front of this. Kev Aylett is leading the Pro-Am class, but he is also leading the overall race right now, so we've got to keep an eye on that, as this is Mail to the outside of Daniel Downing. He's in the AM class down in 6th place right now. The AM class looking pretty separated out on the field at the moment. Andy Littler, however, chasing down Fiona Siddons. That's for a potential podium. The two teammates there looking to try and improve on their race 1 results if they can. Are they going to be working together here, or will we see Andy Littler potentially go for an overtake on Siddons? It remains about 2.5 tenths of a second right now. And that's Carl Handy in the Pro-Ams just behind, so won't be getting involved in this one. But Ronald de Jong looking to try and get back involved at the front of this one. McKinsey and Thurtle still fighting as well between themselves, as Thurtle wants to get past McKinsey, wants to get into second position, potentially catch up to the Pro Championship leader of Dan Mould. Talking about Dan Mould there, going side by side with Demis Tichler here. Tichler on the outside. It's going to look like Mould was trying to switch it back, but actually just sticks behind us. He saw what happened earlier to Tichler and how he got that slowdown, had to give up the lead of the race and a couple more positions. We go across the line. Sproul and Delmont both down and out of this race as we come through turn number 1. For Dan Mould, still leading the way, but it is Codeman just behind in part of this whole train. In fact, he is one of the drivers towards the back of this whole train, and this is his view at the moment of the train in front of him and seeing what's going on as Mould gets the inside of Tichler up ahead. In fact, that's going to be McKinsey getting up the inside of Garrity as well, and this is to fight Codeman to the inside of Craig Walters. They're side by side here. Codeman on the outside line, Walters, on the inside line, Walters on the outside line in the 007 machine, onto the brakes. Will Codeman be able to hold up the inside, or will Walters be able to hold on the outside? It remains side by side here in this fight. It's very close in the leading two as well. We'll stay here for the moment in this battle for 9th as Codeman just has to stay behind Walters. Almost had the opportunity at a turn number 3. It didn't turn into something that he really wanted there. It's about 10 minutes through this race, 15 more minutes or so to go. And as we come across the line, that'll be about 10 to go. This is Ronald de Jong out of the front of the field, towards the front of the field here, but it is Kev Aylett leading the way. Aylett running a very wide line through turn number 9 and through turn number 10 now and up towards the timing line. Across they go, Mould leading McKinsey. Thurtle just behind McKinsey now as well. So Aylett leading de Jong. Mould is leading McKinsey, leading Thurtle, and those three drivers are very close together on the circuit. Less than 0.6 of a second between each of them. In fact, let's see if we can get our intervals up so you can see more accurately how close each of the drivers are doing. And right now, Codeman and Walters once again side by side here, up towards the breaking point of turn number 3. Walters gets the overlap on the breaking point, but Codeman gets the inside line. It looks like Walters has just carried more speed on that wider line. That's the benefit of running a slightly wider line. If you can carry slightly more speed, you can get down on the throttle just a little bit earlier. Still side by side though, Codeman moves back ahead of Walters. Walters running a little bit wider this lap, and that allows Codeman to take 9th place in class there in the Pro-Ams right now. But that was a little bit of a look from Walters to try and get back up the inside. It's not going to turn into anything too serious from that location, however, and we'll have to wait again for another step on that one, as it looks like Aylett's just made a mistake very, very recently. It looks like he's just gone off the circuit as we flash back there. As let's have a look at what's happened. Is it contact? It's contact! A nudge there from Ronald de Jong, and through goes Deck Closer around the outside. So it's contact there from de Jong. And Mould gets past de Jong. De Jong has Aylett now looking to retake that place. Is this gonna be 3 wide here? Because McKenzie is trying to get through and stick with Dan Mould. Behind this fight is Arthur Thurtle, race 1 winner. And there's more contact. Once again, de Jong having contact, and this time it's with McKenzie. I don't think that one was de Jong's fault, however. Just that inside line, I think that one turned into a bit of a racing incident, but de Jong just getting involved once again. Thurtle now takes second in class, only needs to get past Kev Aylett in order to catch up to Mould and potentially fight for the overall win of this race, as Scott Malcolm sits in 5th position in the amateur category, closing in to Andy Littler. There could potentially be a battle for 4th in class in that Pro-Ams if we just keep an eye on it and see what happens. Stephen Fry has got some good speed in this one. He's sitting 14th right now without that damage course. Race number 1, he seems to have quite a bit of damage. Why I think that gap closed up so much to the drivers behind. But doing a good job leading that field right now. Carl Hardy just overtaken Roger Morton there. The 2 teammates, they could be swapping positions to try and give Hardy an opportunity potentially at moving up and through the field up ahead, as that is an overtaking move from Skolchit to the inside of Thomas Coombe. It is an overtake for 18th on the road, however in class-wise it did not do anything. This is a class fight though. It's Titchler, Stringer and Akers here. So the 2 leading drivers from race number 1 of Stringer and Akers getting involved, and at the moment it is Stringer on the outside of Titchler. Titchler has to allow Stringer to hold on to that position, and here comes Akers now. Could Akers follow Ryan Stringer through? He's certainly hoping so. Titchler on the right hand side tucks in behind Stringer, and Akers move into 5th and 6th in the Pro-Am class and get through the order. Arthur Thurtle now looking to get up the inside of Kev Aylett there. He gets to the inside of turn number 6. He is going to hold the inside line, but Kev Aylett is not going to back out that easily. Aylett with contact earlier in the race, of course. That's what's caused that damage on the right hand side of the car. But Arthur Thurtle has moved through. Will he stay ahead? Will Kev Aylett try to hold on through? He doesn't, and he also allows Logan McKenzie to pass as well. So 2nd, 3rd and 4th overall in this race is Dan Mould, Arthur Thurtle and Logan McKenzie. Is McKenzie going to look for an overtake on Arthur Thurtle right now? Deck Crowther could be under attack from Dan Mould just up ahead as well. McKenzie moved to the right-hand part of the circuit to let Thurtle know, hey, I'm here. I'm sure Thurtle already knows that. But backing back into the racing line and not making that move up towards turn number 1, holding on for just a moment's time. We're on the 9th lap of asking at the moment. Deck Crowther leads overall and leads the Pro-Am field. Dan Mould leads the Pro field, and Stephen Fry leads the amateur field at the moment. Through turn number 3, as there's a battle for 11th going on. Sydney Hards and Jura Laconan, and it is Laconan down to 12th at the moment, but they are side by side, as it's going to be the inside now for, well, it was going to be in the inside, I believe, for Laconan. It does send into the inside, but to Stephen Fry. Fry's getting involved in this now in the amateur class, so Laconan losing the position to Hards, potentially losing the overall position to Fry here and placing an amateur car between himself and Hards up ahead. Fry holds that inside line, looking to try and get this overall position. Moves through, but it is going to swap back across for Laconan up the inside. Laconan is going to regain 16th overall here and 15th overall here, sorry. And Stephen Fry even loses out to Paul Hurley there. Hurley moves to 13th in class. Stays in 13th in class, moves to 16th overall, and will chase Laconan down as we go up towards turn number 1. Once again, Dan Mould looking to the inside of Crowther, doesn't go for the move. McKinsey looking to the inside of Thurton, doesn't go for the move. What Dan Mould knows is that even though he's not leading this race at the moment, he is leading the class. But you can see, ignoring Deck Crowther in that grey and orange machine, how close this podium is in the pro class. And we're heading up now towards turn number 3. It's going to be 3 wide. They settle themselves down 2 by 2. Who's going to get the exit here? It looks like McKinsey is going to get the push on the outside line past Dan Mould. Thurtle dived to that line but couldn't quite carry the speed. And once again, so many different lines up towards the breaking point for 4. McKinsey looks up the inside of Crowther. Crowther holds it, but on the exit, McKinsey has got the speed now. Mould looks towards to go to the inside. Follow Crowther through on that inside line, forcing Thurtle onto the outside line. Deck Crowther continues to lead, and here comes Dan Mould to regain the lead of the pro class. Can they do it? No, not yet. McKinsey holds on to the lead of the pro class at the moment. That is Kev Aylett, second in the pro-am field, looking to get involved and try and catch Deck Crowther to regain the lead of this race that he was in earlier in the race before contact. Through the final turn they go. And it is Logan McKinsey leading the pro class, moves to the right hand side. Deck Crowther gets a slightly slower exit there, and Logan McKinsey is going to go side by side for the overall lead of the race now. 5 laps to go. Mould goes through and Thurtle goes through. Crowther doing a great job to let all the pro class through, but Kev Aylett is here to take advantage of Deck Crowther's generosity. Not enough though, because that was Crowther pushing Aylett all the way onto the grass. Through goes Ronald de Jong and up towards the braking zone now. De Jong and Aylett were the 2 drivers that got involved in that contact earlier. They switch over. Aylett now once again to the right hand side. Is he going to be forced onto the grass for the second time of asking this lap? No, he is not. They remain side by side for the lead, for second in the Pro-Am class, and at the moment Kev Aylett gets through, but is it going to be the switchback? It's a attempted move, but Aylett parks it on the exit and will hold on to that right now. Side by side behind, as well as Titchler is on the outside of Sydney Hards, looking for a top 10 result in this one. Is going to switch across back to Titchler's inside line through turn number 6 with Sydney Hards stuck on the outside. Joel Laconan just behind is going to try and follow his teammate through here. Up the inside, the 52 machine follows through, and the 502 machine of Sydney Hards completely off the racing line there, and will have to give up that spot. This is once again return to the fight for the lead between McKinsey, Mould and Thurtle. Arthur Thurtle winning race number 1 at the back of the reverse grid in 15th place. Has moved up to 3rd in this race so far. Will he be able to make his way to the lead? Outside of these 3 pro drivers right at the front of the field, the next pro driver, Daniel Downing, is all the way down in 22nd position overall. The pro drivers outside of the top 3 not having the greatest of reverse grids here, with Samuel Sproul and Adam Delman both already out of the race as well. Geraghty and de Jong side by side here. De Jong's got the outside line. Geraghty has got the inside line here. Who's going to brake later? Who's going to get the speed on the exit? They brake about the same point, but it's the 117 with the speed, and he tries to keep de Jong off the circuit, squeezing him to the curbing there. That's the great thing about touring cars. Honestly, we saw it earlier as well. Just a little bit of a nudge, squeezing drivers out. It creates some awesome racing, and Geraghty holds on to that position ahead of Ronald de Jong. For the time being, that's for the podium in the Pro-Am field during this race. Can de Jong find his way through in the final 5 minutes of the race, which will be, this time across the line, 3 more laps of asking. Swap for overall position down low as well. Roger Morton in the Pro-Am car swapping places with side-by-side battling it. Daniel Downing in the pro class. They're chasing down second place in the amateur field of Thomas Coombe. But that's Daniel Downing in the 17 around the outside and up the position. We'll hold on to that. This is Laconin once more behind teammate Titchler this time. So they're sitting in 10th and 11th in the Pro-Am field at the moment and settling themselves down into that. Dan Mould looking to get past McKinsey for the lead of the race. 5 minutes on the board. 0.3 of a second separate them. Arthur Thirdle, half a second off of Dan Mould. No means down and out, and you can just see after Crowther could have given an opportunity to Eilert or to De Jong when he allowed these three pro drivers through, has gained a 2-second lead now over the rest of the Pro-Am field. So allowing those pro drivers through, the cars behind trying to get into a fight, they just haven't been able to do it. And he has now got himself clear and very possibly could confirm himself as the winner of race number 2 in that Pro-Am field. The other positions though not confirmed. De Jong right behind Garrity once again trying to find if there's potentially a way through, a way past here. At the moment there is not. In fact, it looks like for a lot of positions it's not going to be, but for the 911 of Jose Scold, it's contact with Carl Hardy, and they come together. A little bit of a slide, and it is going to be penalties for both drivers after that contact. They are both going to be down pit lane to serve that penalty. It was the inside line there from Hardy, and it was Scholes just hitting the rear end trying to do the switchback, but both of them reaching instant limits, and both of them will need to come down pit lane to serve their penalties with just a couple of laps on the board as well as they come through turn number 9. They remain out on field at the moment. Logan McKinsey still just holding ahead of Dan Mould at this stage as we come out of turn number 1 and continue to watch this fight for the lead. It is the closest fight out on the field as well at the moment, which is one of the reasons we are having a look at it as we head onto the braking zones. Here comes Mould up the inside of Logan McKinsey, and he's got the inside line, but McKinsey got the speed on the exit, and here comes Arthur Thirdle. Thirdle wanted to go now past Dan Mould, and he gets up the inside, and he manages to hold it side by side onto the braking point. Arthur Thirdle has got the inside of Dan Mould. There's a little bit of a nudge. Mould on the wider line. It's not going to be able to hold it right now, and Arthur Thirdle moves through into second place. Logan McKinsey still leads this way as we head up towards the final lap of the race. It is less than half a second between your leading three drivers. McKinsey leading Thirdle, leading Mould here as we come towards turn number 7 and 8. The left-hander into the right-hander. The sun is setting here in this fight for the lead in our second race and final race of the day here at round number 5, up towards turn number 9. And right now they are going to stay single file, but there is no doubt we are going to see overtaking opportunities into 3 and 4 here. McKinsey pulls to the right-hand side of the circuit, trying to break the toe. Moves back to the left now. Hits the brakes onto the right-hander, and that is Mould up the inside of Thurtle. It is Mould looking to take second. This can invite McKinsey for the win here. As Thurtle gets the speed on the exit, Dan Mould moves to the right-hand side, switches across to the left. It will be the outside line. We have seen the outside work so well as the race has gone on though, but the gap to the lead now 0.6 of a second, but that's contact. Thirdle holds the inside. Mould stuck on the outside. Is Deck Crowther gonna get involved in this one? He is. Crowther to the inside of Dan Mould. Is he gonna put it side by side into turn number 4 and stop Mould from having an opportunity at third? Yes, he is. Crowther looks to the inside of Mould. It doesn't turn into anything, but it could have just ended the scrap for second place. Logan McKenzie, though, has ended the scrap for the lead. Here comes De Jong to the inside of Garrity. This is for third place in the Pro-Am class. De Jong gets that move up the inside and will be able to hold it and move into third position in the class. But around towards the final few corners, comes the pro leaders and the overall race leaders. Arthur Thurston won race number 1. He's not going to win race number 2. That honour is going to go to Logan McKenzie through turn number 9, through turn number 10. Logan McKenzie will win here, race number 2 around the Red Bull Ring. Arthur Thurston takes second ahead of Dan Mould, and Deck Crowther will win the Pro-Am division ahead of Kev Aylett and Ronald de Jong, as the rest of the field all come in to take their respective positions across the line. And Stephen Fry has dominated that amateur class in this second race and takes home the win in the amateur class. Thomas Kuhn takes home second in the amateur, and Fiona Siddons holds on ahead in the 3rd place across the line there, as penalties applied at the end of that race there for instant limit. We will get our full race results in just a moment's time, but it was this man here, Logan McKenzie, who wins this second race of the day in the pro class. It was Deck Crowther who won in the Pro-Am class, and Stephen Fry who won the amateur field. What a great race that was, and let's see what the results were at the end of that one, because it was a busy old race trying to keep up with everything. So much happening as the race went on. Let's have a look, though. We're going to have a look at the top 10 overall results first, and that was Logan McKenzie winning the overall race ahead of Arthur Thurston and Dan Mould. Deck Crowther took home 4th, that first in class for him, ahead of Kev Aylett, Ronald de Jong, Fraser Garrity, Ryan Stringer. Cooper Ackers took home 9th ahead of Marjan Kodeman. Let's have a look then at the individual classes. That is what counts in the class championships. Logan McKenzie won that one ahead of Arthur Thurston. Dan Mould took home 3rd position in the end after trying to get Thurston down at the end of that race. But the top 3 drivers, after 25 minutes of racing, 15 laps of racing, and having to get through a reversed field, the top 3 drivers separated by less than a second. Daniel Downing took home 4th in class ahead of John Brown. Kim Borkland took home 6th. And down and out of the race after early contact with Samuel Sproul and Adam Delmont. We'll see if we can get a replay of that first lap incident, as well as a couple of the other incidents in the races. Deck Crowther took home the win in the Pro-Am race in the end for Blade Designs ahead of Kev Aylett. Ronald de Jong took home 3rd ahead of Fraser Garrity. Ryan Stringer took home 5th ahead of Cooper Ackers. Marjan Kodeman was in 7th ahead of Craig Walters, Daniel Lewis, and Juha Lakonen. 9 seconds, do you know what, actually, for the top 10, separated by 9 seconds after that race with all of the stuff going on. Not too bad at all. It was Sydney Hards who took home 11th ahead of Paul Hurley. Roger Morton took home 13th ahead of Carl Hardy, and it was Demis Titchler in 15th position. JB Dejoux in 16th ahead of Luke Jones, and it was Jose Scholes, the last driver, who to finish the race in the Pro-Am field. Reece Watts and Stuart Gibbons out of that one early doors as well. And finally, in the amateur field, it was Stephen Fry who won that one by almost 6 seconds ahead of Thomas Kuhn. Fiona Siddons took home 3rd ahead of Scott Malcolm, Andy Littler, and Torben Mayo. Let's see if we are able to grab the replay of the accident at the very start of that race, because there was a big accident involving one Adam Delmont. Let's see what this was like. So this was lap number 1 in this second race. This is the mid-pack, and it's contact with the 884. It looks like there were 2 separate incidents there, as that was Delmont going off the circuit early doors there as he had the race. It looked like there was more contact, potentially further ahead as well. We're riding on board Scott Malcolm here. You can just see up towards turn number 1, and it's contact out towards the back as well as we headed through that one. It was interesting. This is Scott Gibbons here. We're watching again towards the back. A lot of cars getting involved in that early lap, but we'll see de Jong was technically involved in that one, it looks like. Codeman as well, and that's just on the side. They look like there were just multiple... It looks like there were just multiple wrecks all at the same time happening there through turn number 1. So it wasn't just one spin or one car going off. It certainly looked like there were multiple cars going off. Seeing if we can get a little bit further towards the front in this one. Let's see if we can get a little bit further towards the front. Who else went out in that one? Samuel Sproul went out in that one. See if I can find what happened to Sproul. This was a little bit further up. So actually, this is after the initial contact. So you can see the accident in the background there. This was a different accident for Sproul that sent him out of the race on the early part of the stage. Oh, and he just pulls off to the right there. Looks like he got a little bit of a nudge there. Let's see right on board, see what happened there with Sproul up towards turn 1. He did start in Pro Class League. As we hear the lovely glitch through those sounds, I apologise for that. Is it a hit from behind? You know, it's all of his. It's almost like a jump, sort of a bump between. He gets squished between two drivers. Right, with that one being done and over with, then let's see who is around to have a bit of a chat. Let's see if we can pull in Logan McKenzie from that one. Logan ending up winning not just the Pro Division, but the overall race on that one. But with a great fight with Arthur Thurtle and Dan Mould. Logan, what a win.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the second race was a lot of fun. Thought I had lost it when Arthur got through with that little three wide incident, but ended up being able to come back. And I mean, with here, you've got a lot of straights. People can't get too far away unless there's a big pace differential. So, you know, just kept my head down, and eventually it kind of got handed to me on a silver platter. And I just had to defend from there, which wasn't easy, but it was a lot of fun.
To say when that last lap, you've got Thurtle and Mould just behind, and Mould going for the move into turn 1. Surely that was a sigh of relief for you.
Yes, I told him I owed him $5 because that was, you know, on these fixed setups, the Honda is not as good in a straight line as the Veloster. So where Dan was just not getting to me on the run up to turn 4, Arthur would have. So I was really worried about that whole situation, and Dan neutralized it entirely. I mean, before that, I was basically backing them up. I was going slowly through certain corner apexes to make sure they couldn't get good corner exits because they were so close that the slipstream would have given them the ability to dive me. And you saw that Dan was close enough to put at least one lunge on me.
It was a couple of good opportunities to get past you, but as you say, it was a defensive drive, and you know you did a really good job defending there and taking the win by 7/10 of a second. So well done, Logan, on your win here in race number 2.
Thank you so much.
And then, so that was Logan winning race number 2 in that one. And one of the drivers in which Logan McKenzie had to fight with was Dan Mould. Mould going for that move on the last lap. McKenzie saying there that he owed you a $5 for that.
I didn't. Yeah, it's winning the race was out of question, so I thought I had to dive on Arthur because I think Arthur's going to set himself up to slingshot down that second straight, but I tried it, and then I tried the outside on, I think, turn 3 or 4, and Arthur's back end just knocked me off track slightly. But yeah, the last few laps were intense, to say the least.
Obviously having to move through the field with that top 15 reversed. You managed to do it pretty quickly. There were a few instances, turn number 1 on the opening lap. We couldn't quite see all that was happening there. Did you get through okay? And I mean, you moved straight into the leader pros.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I put into the Discord earlier, the track is obviously it's this week's official, so everyone's quite familiar with it, and it's not an easy track to pass on. The times are very, very competitive around here, and like I say, there's not a lot of overtaking opportunities. So he's just trying to kind of like pick places where I can. And then I got into second, and I owe Dak a massive favour from taking him out the other week. So I was just trying to stay behind him, and I was happy to take second. But then Logan and Arthur were catching fairly quickly, and then that was it. Then it was a case of just fight for survival and try and finish as high as I could. I didn't feel like I had much pace around here than normal. I wasn't confident at all. I felt like the Velocities had an advantage. But that might just be me being crap in the Honda. But I
I
don't know.
think that that was a general consensus as well, as Logan said a very similar thing.
Yeah. But overall, yeah, I'm happy with the results. I
Yep.
would have liked to win race 1, but like I said, Arthur had some majestic pace around here tonight, as he does always, to be fair, and we always have some good battles. But it's unusual for me to have a battle like that of Logan. It's not very rarely we race close together, but it was very pleasing and I enjoyed it. I'm very sweaty right now, but yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Kudos to Logan and big congrats to Deck finishing first in class, second race.
Yeah, it's great class results as well for that, and that keeping it up with you three out at front. Looking at the championship though for you, I mean, Adam Delmont, he went out of the race right at the beginning of this one. Tony Walker not here racing today. It's given you even more breathing space at the front going into what is now the end of the first half of the season. Are you feeling confident going into the second half, or you're saying Thurdle's looking quite quick? Do you think he could possibly catch you before the final round at Nürburgring?
I mean, he'll be there. He'll be there or thereabouts. But he's had a real bad first half of the season. But I'm sure he'll bounce back very strong. We haven't taken into account the drop rounds yet, so the scores will become a lot closer. But let's say you're surrounded like drivers, Adam, Bjorklund, Kim. You know, Tony on his days quick. It's going to be hard. You know, you've got to stay on your A game in each race to be up there. So I am confident. I'll do my best, but it's gonna be tough, very tough. Got some good tracks coming up. I do like the next tracks he brings, so that should be interesting. But yeah, it's gonna be a real close fight in the pros up there. I'm hoping Logan can continue and do some more races with us. I think this is his first race, and he'll be up there mixing it up with us. Maybe not on the points, but definitely on track. But yeah. Really looking forward to the rest of the season.
Right, good luck with the rest of the season, especially next week with Sebring as well, and hopefully you can get back onto that top spot.
Thank you very much, Joe.
And that was Dan Mould finishing that race in third position. So that is it here at the Red Bull Ring for the fifth round of competition here in the SRL TCR season number 9. Next week, the drivers return to circuit down on the Sebring modified layout, not the full layout. It is the modified layout where they'll turn to the right at turn number 2 instead of to the left. So make sure that you are going to be there, and to make sure you don't miss it either, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Leave a like here on the stream as well so that you are showing your support towards the SRL crew. I hope you have enjoyed today's racing, because I certainly have, and I hope to be back in the future to bring more of these races to your screens. So thank you so much for watching here from the Red Bull Ring, from SRL TV, and me from Beehive Built Broadcasting. Have a fantastic week and see you next Friday. Goodbye.